Hi Dave, this is a quick walkthrough of the program so you can see the changes I made to it. First thing I do is start up the Coulee 5.exe. Now this part of the program works exactly the way the other one does. Same change with head, same change with tail, flow changes like this, power changes like this. All the rest of them the same. Let me hide that, don't need it. And the slopes works just like before. When I change the flow value, the power automatically tracks it using this curve to set the power that coincides with this line just to make a pretty display. And I can click on these areas here to clean it up and make it pretty. And that part of the program is exactly the same as what we had before. So let me stop that, restart it, go into the CDB, Coulee, date modified, it would bring Coulee to the top, down arrow, ITB Rev for Coulee, find the Coulee 5.exe, and let me get rid of this because it makes a tidier image. Now this registration and security screen disappears when you start the Coulee demo or if you start the index test, and this is the new part. Now this is kind of a scrunched up display. When I run this on a higher resolution monitor like mine, it's laid out a little nicer and it doesn't overflow the screen on the sides. If I click this area on this button here, it makes this form show. This is the analog input and calculations form, and this is the flow calcs form. So when I run the index test, as soon as I click on the steady state form here, it is on top of the flow calculation form and the analog input form. Now these are not moving at all. I've got the analog inputs removed, so there's nothing of interest to see on the display. But I can turn on the index simulation. This is the new part. So now I can change head and tail and all of these the same as the other simulation. These straight lines are kind of boring, so I put a random feature in that. So now we can see what it's doing. And if I change, for instance, on this one here, I'll change flow. We can see on here that it was changing. But it's taking such short little snaps, we're not seeing the slopiness of it. If I go to the XY graph lower right, those were the changes I made. If I click on this little screen, it hides the display so you can see what I'm doing. I click on that form there and then I move the head a little bit. And then move head back. And then this is not steady state as long as that was moving, so we're never going to get steady state as long as that's like that. We can hit the reset button, sets everything over from 0, runs 5 cycles of this. I got to recall the XY graphs, and then the XY graphs start showing on the 5th display. Now if I turn on the draw slopes, it automatically calls these displays, and they work exactly the same here as they did on the other one. Only now what's happening is we're measuring the analog inputs at 1,000 samples per second. We're taking 200 samples. We're taking the standard deviation and linear regression and plotting those on this little form. And then using the first set of limits, this lower 3 are the first set of limits for the first pass data. And then I'll click on the lower right. And then as the data collects, it takes the first pass samples and does a standard deviation on those and then plots them in the second set of forms. And when I click on the reset, it'll set everything to 0. If I turn the random off, it's nice and quiet. Do a reset again. And now everything is dead quiet and it's all steady state and everything is as it's recording points. But if I turn on the random noise, okay, now I'm getting noise everywhere and everything is, there's no steady state going on anywhere. But if I click the auto limits, it increases the value of the limits on all of these. Every time a flag turns red, it bumps up the value in the steady state filters. And then as soon as it gets a steady state set of data, the auto limits button turns green again and it starts storing data with the new steady state limits.